The flow of this is going to be more of a conversation. Ron and I and Junius have prepared some questions for the panelists, but I want everybody to also feel involved, can kind of jump on top of not each other, but on each other's comments and thoughts, and address them as they come up. So feel free to jump in when you want and need to. So Ryan, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm going to give the first question and we'll see where we go from there. So considering some of you guys are part of art forms that are actually sometimes debatable whether they're a part of hip hop or not. I know within those communities people ask, is this hip hop or not? I wanted to know for you guys, do you consider your art form to be a part of hip hop, and why or why not? And that's for anybody.
I'll start. I'm from New York, so for me, like, Life Feed is from New York, and there's 3 generations of hip hop dance in New York. Obviously, the most rawest form is b-boying. That's the original, and there's nothing without that. From there, whatever social dances that was not done with b-boying and a lot of other miscellaneous dances moved on to the 2nd generation of hip hop, which is like the old school hip hop dance. You know what I mean? And that was that generation, which is like the late 80s, early 90s guys that did that. After that, the music changed again, and the Harlem Shake started in the late 90s and the early 2000s, and a lot of other miscellaneous dances came from the Harlem Shake movement. And Life Feed and the Harlem Shake movement encompasses New York's main dance for the last 20 years. You could tell because when you're in the streets, you still see little kids getting light and doing the Harlem Shake. It's been like that. Like since the 90s, it was just the Harlem Shake all the way to the early 2000s. And then from there, Life Feed was created during that time, and it's just been picked up from there. So that's been the hip hop dance. And to me, it's just the 3rd generation of hip hop dance and hip hop culture. Life Feed was made from the music that was done in the late 90s and the early 2000s. So the Bad Boys, the D-Blocks, the Dipsets, the Rough Riders, like all those things where you heard music like Special Delivery and a whole bunch of other songs around that time. That's the music that Life Feed came from, and that's hip hop. It starts with the music and it goes into the dance. Also, when you look at hip hop started in the Bronx, period. And then it got its notoriety when it started to that next generation in BK. Although it was still done in all 5 boroughs, like Brooklyn was primarily known for that, you know what I mean? And then it went to Harlem. So Life Feed is from Harlem, you know what I mean? It started in Harlem, and then it encompassed the 5 boroughs again. I definitely believe that my dance is hip hop. I just believe it's the 3rd generation of hip hop, you know what I mean? And it's Harlem culture hip hop. Advanced to its highest level, and then it became 5 borough thing, you know what I mean? But like still to this day, everybody does Life Feed to hip hop music. There's Life Feed rappers, there's cameramen, there's all that stuff. It's the same thing as it was in the 80s. It's just a different name and just a couple of different feelings and different things, you know what I mean? But it's definitely hip hop, for sure.
I got a question.
What's up?
Like even dancing, like part of being a DJ and seeing certain things, like Missy and a lot of other artists in Atlanta, they were making a lot of songs that had dances to them.
Okay.
Like, do you guys consider that like hip hop, or how do you feel? Like, a lot of people look at South Records and they're like, oh, that's not hip hop. But when you look at Teach Me How to Dougie and all these other records, Walk It Out, and all this other stuff, where do y'all put that? Like, how do y'all use that?
That's hip hop to me, man. Like, it's just hip hop from another state.
That's how I feel, but it's like a lot of times, the only reason I ask is like a lot of people complain about music, what's real and what's not. I think music is just vibrations, and it's like, it makes you move. And like even now, in the South, whatever they're doing and stuff, it is what it is, but I look back maybe being open to seeing certain things, and I can appreciate those times that they had more than what's going on now, because you go to parties and that's where most music is played. That's the idea for the party, play music so people can dance.
Right.
And I've just seen so many people, like I said, so many people complaining about it. I just wanted to at least get you guys.
The reason why like a lot of them complain about it is for the simple fact I'm from the South, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. So the reason why a lot of people complain about saying that it's not hip hop because we're the home of the blues. So before hip hop was even invented, we was grooving. We was grooving to blues. So we always had a different kind of groove than New York, than the West Coast and stuff like that. So that's one reason why they didn't consider it hip hop. But how it got considered being hip hop when hip hop got invented, we started sampling. A lot of stuff got sampled. A lot of Sugar Hill all this stuff got sampled. So we started putting out a style that grew to it. But it was just a groovy way of us doing the hip hop, like with the blues kind of mixed up in it. So I would still consider it as hip hop because dealing with the time and stuff like that of the dance. You know, so I would consider it, still our style is still hip hop.
And you from Memphis, so it's like, this is one thing I noticed too. Like, every place had their own style. Like, Hypnotic, Juicy J, DJ Paul and them, they've been around for a while. So when you look at it, they had the Memphis sound.
Well, they did, but it was people before them who they copied the Memphis sound from. See, it is. I don't hung out with these guys. I know these guys.
I don't know. I picked up Memphis sound when I first started hearing 36 Mafia, Project Pat, and the rest of these.
Well, they would put it like this. They was like one of the first people to hit mainstream very hard out in Memphis. Because before then you had 8 Ball and MJG. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, far as group wise, yeah, they was the first, and they did have that type of music that created a whole nother different style. And the reason why their music created a different kind of style from the South was because of us. Before they even created their own type of style, like I said, Memphis was sampling. We was listening to what Texas was listening to because Texas has a whole bunch of different kind of samples. Like dealing with the Ghetto Boys, DJ Screw, all this stuff was samples. So what we did was we used to like dancing off of sampling music. But we just had a sample way of what we sampled. We didn't no longer sample New York. We still sampled the West Coast because we had certain people like Radio and Joe Cooley. Yeah, kind of help brought our style and stuff, into place and stuff like that. And their music is still considered hip hop.
No, all of that's considered hip hop.
Right.
I mean, like I said, knowing none from 1993 DJ, that's when I got put up on, project. All the hypnotized mind things, because being a DJ, they facilitate you with records.
Right.
And look at it, that's why I say, like, I think some of the sounds, even what they say is South music now, people should credit, like, Memphis for, because if you want to say not just them, but it's a Memphis sound now that just controls the whole South. You know what I'm saying? And that's what part of I was asking.
Yeah, but before then, we had people like this guy named DJ Squeaky. He's kind of a little overshadowed, but he was pretty much who 3-6 Mafia kind of, they looked up to, and they kind of took his sound and they ran with it. And that's what happened. But DJ Squeaky was the first to give my culture like the image that we do, because my style is based off of dealing with it was something that all the dope boys were doing in the neighborhood. We would dress up, get fresh, listen to this fresh kind of sound. It was a dope boy dance. That's all it was. Yeah. It went from that dope boy dance to that 3-6 Mafia to that bucket that it got more crunk, because it wasn't crunk at first. It was just nice music with nice beats, just to listen to. But 3-6 Mafia did change the game as far as like the bucket and the get crunk.
Because it was more like it's nationalized, and it took a while for them. They didn't really get their credit for who they were until that movie.
Choice.
Not Choice, the one they got Academy Award for.
You're talking about Hustle and Flow.
Right. They wasn't really happy because look at 3-6 Mafia. It's like, even if that was 2003, 10, 12 years before that, they was doing the same thing that they was doing with like the whole hypnotized mind thing. You know what I'm saying? And the purpose of this is why I say, like, the purpose of hip hop is being able to teach people. Me, I was blessed to know that because I was DJ, and it's like, and how people talk about, this ain't hip hop and that ain't hip hop. It was people who did turn their nose up to that 10, 12 years ago in the North. because it was different. It was still dope beats and dope samples and dope concepts, and it's like you could relate to some of the topics that they had. But sometimes it's like they turn their nose up, but to some of us, we listened and it's like, and we learned and we knew what was going on, you know? So that's why I'm like, yo, you know, do people look at, how do they look at this?
I mean, you got that argument though, like the guys that was into funk and all that stuff, like saying that hip hop is just funk with some rap over it or something, you know what I mean? Like I've heard people that there's always that thing, there's always gonna be those people that just like wanna be purists and stuff like that. And that's okay, you know what I mean? But like to enjoy a culture and the growth of it, you just have to enjoy every aspect and the honesty behind it. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, b-boying wasn't really done to rap music. It was done to the all the music that our parents had and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, and then people was coming up with rapping and hip hop and the rap beats and the scratch and all that stuff. Like, and they just tricked it out. You know what I mean? But you can hear those old people say like, oh well, this isn't. Like, y'all call it a hip hop, but it's really just this, and y'all just tweaked it. You know what I mean? So it's always that, yeah. So it's always gonna be those people like that. Right?
I just want to say, just one little point as far as what you said about those dances coming out, and is it hip hop? Considered hip hop? Some dances stick, trendy dances stick, and then some don't. But it's still hip hop between both.
Absolutely.
It's still hip hop. Some trendy dances come out. Missy Elliott, these artists you're mentioning, and they're here today, going tomorrow. And some take flight. They root themselves into the culture and they grow. And so the answer to that question is both. The ones that come and go, that's hip hop, but it was just for that point in time, for the essence of that beat, whatever that vibration was, it was there for them and it faded away. Some stay and some turn into actual styles that stick around.
Word up.
I think something to also be mindful of is that, you know, culture doesn't live in a vacuum, right? You know, there's some people who grow up in a community and they know a thing, you know, and sometimes they often dismiss that in other communities, globally, people are doing a thing, you know, so then when you get those people together, you know, people have codified or named or cataloged what they do, you know, as to represent this or that, you know. And I think there's education there, you know what I mean? There's stuff to learn, you know. When you look at dance styles that come out of African American communities in the 18th and 19th centuries, like, they don't have names for it. They just say we were dancing. You know, so they say we were dancing, right? Even people that are old flat-footers and buck dancers, that specifically that are black and haven't like made a living or don't teach classes, like literally just tradition bearers, like everybody else around them has their shit codified. Like people are like, oh yeah, that's flat-footing and that's buck dancing and, you know, that's clogging, you know, and these people are like, I'm just dancing, you know, and I think it's perspective.
Both are beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's all beautiful. I'm just saying that, like, sometimes when we get on the topic, you know, like, it's hard for me to separate rap from hip hop.
Right.
Because when I first started hearing rap music, there was no such thing as hip hop culture with 4 elements and like all that stuff came a little bit later, you know? Like, and if you go to New York, like, you know, people argue about what started, who did what, you know, but the truth of the matter is, like, a lot of us heard rap music, you know, and I thought it was rap music because they were talking over beats.
Right.
You know, because when people said, you know, in '77, somebody said, you know, let me rap to you, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. So, like, when people said it was rap music, and for me, in my kid's mind, it just made sense. So over the years, like, as somebody who was a dancer, so I'm in all of these communities, right? So people are dancing to this type of music, they're dancing to this type of music, and we didn't have like hard names for it. It was just what brown people did.
Yeah,
mostly because we don't know what white people did.
You don't even think about that shit. You know, like for me, like people know graffiti as hip hop, but graffiti was before hip hop.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's way before hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you're an honest person that really loves the style of graffiti, then you know that. You know what I mean? That's an element of hip hop. But that was just what was happening. And yeah, it's just what was happening. You know what I mean? I understand that because you're not everybody is gonna put on a soldier suit with a thing that says hip hop right here going around like this is hip hop. Like some people really do that. If you want to do that, that's cool too. You know what I mean? I respect that, but like it's like that's just life, yo. You know? Yeah. That's when I see some people overseas that are like, yeah, yo, culture and hip hop and shit like that. And it looks like Halloween.
I don't know, but Harris once said one thing that makes sense. Rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live.
Exactly.
So if you fall into that time, it's like when you're like, damn, you know, I'm breaking. It's like then we going to do graffiti. We're going to MC, and it's like this was the life that we lived in the Bronx. Then it spread, you know, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, etc. until about 80 something, and even after. So it all was the same thing. So by the time hip hop got to a place in the mid-90s when it started going global, 94 to 97, when you hearing things like Wu-Tang and it's like Mobb Deep because that's what you hear, you think, oh, this is hip-hop. But for some people, hip-hop starts out with hip-hop.
Yeah.
So they don't know that aspect of the rap. So when you say, yo, you know, like you were saying, yo, this is rap, most people, this is rap. It's like when you get on the record, you rapping. And it's the difference between rapping and MCing.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't really understand that part either. But with that, it's hard to teach people to see the difference between the two, between rappers and MCs. You know, because it's like, it's like, okay, let me try to teach you. But it's like, if you don't understand, like, you hear Jay-Z sometimes, Jay-Z a rap. Then Jay get on another record, he's MCing. Right. To most people, they'd be like, okay, what's the difference? You hit him with the compound metaphors and the poetry and all these other things on this record, while on this record, you're talking about, just give it to me, he's rapping on it. Right, yeah. So it's like, it's a way to tell the difference, but it can be taught. But it's like, I don't think people really want to look into the intricacies of, is it MCing, or is it rapping, or do I just want to hear a good record?
Yeah, but then just be honest about it, and then it'll be okay. You know what I mean? For me, I'm all about honesty. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's all beautiful. Like just between the three of us, we got 3 different cultures alone. Like you got Cali, Memphis, and New York. You know what I mean? East, West, and South. 3 different lifestyles, 3 different everything. You know what I mean? Like it's all hip hop, but it's just different styles, and you just embrace it for what it is. You know what I mean? And if you're honest, and if you just like, oh, I don't care about MC and rapping, like I just like how it sounds, then say that. You know what I mean? But like if you're gonna go hard and be like, yo, I'm a hip hop head, and this, that, and the third, and this, that, and the third, then you gotta be fully about it. You know what I mean? Like you gotta figure out what your 100% truth is, and like figure out exactly what you're trying to be. And it takes a long time. You know what I mean? Like, but honesty is the main key. That's what I always go back to.
I think kind of like piggybacking, you mentioned like the KRS type of thing, right? So like piggybacking off of that, I think there's also something important that I heard him say one time too, is that like when you talk about hip hop and like what makes hip hop, like even just like the elements of hip hop, right? Like they're basic human qualities of expression that like follow the same common concept. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, if you think about an MC or somebody that's just rapping, like you said, you know, at one point rapping just meant talking. You know what I'm saying? Like let's rap. You know what I mean? Like can we hit up and rap later? Like let me hit you up, let's rap about this or whatever, you know? Like right now, like if you talk about the basic element of MCing, right now that's what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like all based off of like that center pillar of knowledge, and that's where like that 5th element of hip hop came in, you know? And so that common concept, you know what I'm saying, of like building each other like through the knowledge of what we do collectively, but at the same time, like, you know, we have these unapologetic forms of expression, you know, like, I think that's where like we can kind of break it down into more of a basic sense rather than making it so complex as to like what constitutes an MC. Like, well, I mean, we can kind of backtrack a little bit and be like, yo, this is what we're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're rapping to each other right now, you know, like, and so like, you know, basing it off of that, like it becomes a lot more simpler rather than like having to make it so complex as to like, you know, this and this means you're MCing and this and this, you know what I mean? Like boom, boom. So like, I think that is kind of where like I found like a step back with, like when I started hearing stuff like being talked about in that way, you know? To like be able to just step back and be like, all right, it's a little more, it's, you know, it can be complex, but like at the root of it, it's a lot more easy and simple than that. You know what I'm saying? Like these are just basic forms like of expression that we collect with, you know, whether you're writing or whether you're playing music or whether you know, these are just like, these are unapologetic forms of expression, you know, we're able to take those things and put ourselves into them, you know what I mean, and then continue them, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about like that whole, when you start digging into this element, that element, what is MCing, you know what I'm saying, all this stuff like that, you know?
So we're talking about like, as we talk about like different cultures and what's going on in different communities, I'd like to propose a question, and that is, how do we consider outreach in our communities? I know you guys are here outside of your communities teaching, but I'm saying like inside your cities, like what are things that people can do, or do you think it's even appropriate to be like, here we are, this is our ways of thinking, this is our music, this is our movement, this is our culture, and we want to share it with people who are not from here. Like,
so for me, like, and y'all gonna hear me say this a lot in this thing, it's really about honesty. You know what I mean? When you're honest about what your role is, then people will be able to identify with it and follow. You know what I mean? So for me, for example, I'm a Lifey historian. That's my thing. If you want to learn about the history of Lifey, if you want to learn about who came from where, if you need guidance on how to start, you go to me. And that's my role. If you want to just be around people and have fun, there's guys for that. You know what I mean? Like if you want to be an artist and do like the artsy fartsy, lifey stuff and get into pieces and stuff, there's guys for that. If you want to get into the music, there's guys for that. You know what I mean? Outreach comes from like who are you reaching and what do people want? You know what I mean? So once you have all these roles set and people have their identity and they're honest about who they are, then you could see who you want to bring with you and who you want to work with. So it's that simple. Once you have your identity and once you have your place or whatever you like to do, you'll be able to find this person, okay, I relate with you and I can put you on. There's always that thing with like an old school, like let's say for example, like producer. And you as a producer, I know at least once or twice in your life, you see the young kid and you're like, that kid reminds me of me. Let me bring him more with me. You know what I mean? Like
So
exactly. You understand? But
it's the struggle.
It's because you know who you are though. You understand? And then you could identify like, okay, that kid is doing something that I used to do or that I do, and now I can do that. And you know your lane. Like you said before, like you didn't really do good at dancing and like graffiti you were okay, but with making music that was your thing. And you were honest about it. You know what I mean? And then that's how you reach people and help them. It's just really about knowing who you are as a person first, and then the outreach can follow if you want to.
It's also, you can't reach everybody at once, but it's just one by one.
Yes.
It's connected. It's like, cause if you can get one person and to listen, and it's like to connect them, because the only thing they want is to extract knowledge.
Yeah.
Everyone who's coming up, they just want to be like, yo, you know what, I seen what you did. I don't want you to tell me to do something. I want how you did, so I can apply your method and see if it's something that I'm not getting here, so I can get a better, you know, a better culture from that. So I can like, okay, cool. It's not working. What can I do to be better? All right, let me tell you what I know, and it's like you take it from there. Open up those lines, and it's like if that one person becomes successful, not saying big, but it's like making trends, you can open other people up to it. And it's like, after that happens, it's like you reach more people. Before you know that, you're able to get people who are younger to listen because you already have some of their peers.
Right.
When you have the peers, that's what opens the door for almost any conversation.
Yes, for sure.
Like you can talk about, oh, you know, it's gang activity, oh, you know, it's violence, oh, it's businesses. It's like this what we losing people. So once you have those few, it's like you open up that door, it's like that's when everything will start flowing.
As long as you know who you are, then whoever wants to rock with you or whoever you feel like you can help, it will go from there. You know what I mean? Like in the Bible, it says you gotta look at the log in your eye before you look at the splinter in somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, and you really gotta figure out who you are, and what you like, and what you're good at, what's your problems, and what you can work on to help yourself before you can help other people. You know what I mean? So make sure you're good at what you are and what you do, and then go from there. You know what I mean? We'll let you go. We'll let you go.
I'm pretty much like him on how I feel about, dealing with that situation. I feel me and we just got done discussing it, and it's pretty much the same. And I feel the same, same exact way he feels about the situation too. Like I try to put in minutes, of the youth that I can, because I know the struggle where I came from, with what I do, and a lot of the youth, some of them they don't know struggle. I'm just being honest, they don't know struggle, and it kept us being big. It kept us out of trouble on doing what we was doing back, where I'm from. But the thing is about that is that I just try to tell them the right thing, stay on the youth, just try to keep them on the right track, try to make sure that the history of my culture, get told, right. It won't be, it don't get put in the wrong people, and just try to guide these young guys, but that's what they can't do all of them, because all of them ain't gonna listen. You're gonna only be able to reach out to them that make listen, so. Like I said, I feel good about the situation.
So I'm sorry. He's got a lot of I got my back to the So you're coming from a time where gangster walking is a big thing, right? So you're looking at all these different measures, did you find yourself in a place where you had to tell all of these different understandings that's across 30 plus years, right? Did you have to go and be like, look, fuck all this bullshit, we Memphis. Let's all just do this. So how do you handle that right now with the different understandings and factions of types of dance that come from the style that you do?
Well, it's still it's still a problem, because a lot of the young generation, they have this type of attitude. Who cares who made or what? They just want to do it. So it's hard for me to, kind of deal with certain ones, because they don't care who created it. They don't care anything about the history. It just looks fun. They just want to do it. So those type of guys right there, I just have to back off. I just have to reach out to the people that's interested in doing what I'm doing, So I can't reach out to all of them. I have tried to reach out to a lot of them, and the reason why I reach out to them, because I see a potential to make them better. But you got these days in time, the era is not like how I came up, because I listen when my peers, when my OGs would tell me things. I listened. I took criticism, and I took that, and it made me better. I didn't take it as where it just made me feel some type of way where I want to quit. I didn't take it. I'm just being honest with you. You got a lot of people that do this.
All across the country, that's the problem.
It's sensitive. It's very sensitive.
Everything that you say because of the internet can be sensitive to people. So sometimes what I think would work, like I said, people get, and I say it's a rap. You can't combat one person and say, hey, you need to listen to this. But if you give someone the information that looks like them, talks like them, and walks like them, and they see that they care, that information that you have, that you're trying to get there, they can travel a long way, because they will look at that and be like, wow, yo, you're so smart. Yo, my homie is smart, and it's like he got the hands for everything. And you might just be giving him the jewels, and he could be the person who could be the savior who can help.
Well, it always be the unexpected. I'm gonna be honest to you. Like the people that I love to work with, I love to work with non-dancers. I like take nothing and turn it, and I like to turn it into something. Everybody that I created, great. They couldn't dance a lick. They couldn't even. They was interested in doing it, but they didn't even know the mind frame or, on how to do it and how I had to reach out to people like those. I didn't reach out to them physically. I had to reach out to them mentally. Yeah. I had to get them to understand. If you don't understand something, you don't know what you're doing. They're just like you joining a game that you don't even know what you're getting yourself into. So
that seems like what's going on now.
That's exactly what's happening, though. But it just goes back to honesty and purpose, man. Like a lot of kids now in Lifey, for example, they doing stuff. We're in the Instagram era in New York City now. Where in New York, it's about like I'm trying to make a 1-minute video to get popping on the internet, to get seen by somebody. And when I was coming up, it was for me, it was about like, I'm trying to be the best dancer in New York. That was my goal. You know what I mean? That was a lot of our goals. Cause in the early 2000s, and like in the 2000s, we didn't have no more club scene, none of that for us. It was all street for us. You know what I mean? There was no clubs, there was no connection to the industry. That stopped with his generation and people like from like the freestyle and the old school hip hop. You know what I mean? Like that stopped with them. We didn't have none of that. So it was really like a dog-eat-dog world of like, I'm just trying to get up. And that was the fire, that was the flame that was under us. It was about being the best. And that was our purpose in the beginning. Eventually, once we realized, like once we all cultivated our stuff, we got cool, and we wasn't fighting no more. We wasn't hating on each other and laughing at each other and robbing each other and beating each other up. But that was happening in New York. We stopped doing that once we got older and realized the treasure that we created. You know what I mean? Like, and we ended up feeling good about that at the end. You know what I mean? But now these kids, they just see whatever they like, and the goal is just to get on Instagram.
Right.
Yeah. But that's now in this time, it's like a monster that's been created.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you really have to sit and look and like, hey, how can you combat this monster and really tell yourself? It's like even if you got kids, you can't be like, yo, I'm gonna delete your Instagram, I'm gonna do this, because they'll be in school and they'll go there. But
instant gratification.
You see things like everything was in harmony, I could say, especially even after Pop died. Maybe it was a little more after that. It's like people on the East Coast just go hang in the West Coast, because I remember I was in Cali a lot. Chicago, Midwest, Texas, no one really cared where anybody was from, but it's like, because the one thing that we strive for, which is success and helping each other, and that went along in the 90s a lot.
Yeah.
And then, maybe about 2005, 2007, a little later probably, all that just stopped. It's like it became a dog-eat-dog world again. It was no more like, all right, doing this show, you need to do this, or let me plug you up with man, okay. He can take you, he can make what you want. Now people want to be that middleman and be like, okay, I gotta delegate this. It's like there's no more reaching out and opening those doors. So, the hill can continue. So even if people can be better, we can do better business, we can learn better morals, and we can be great.
It's a lot of sensitivity.
And people, I find personally, like, people create so much conflict around like age. A lot of the younger cats, like, all of a sudden, if there's someone who's more experienced than you, like, that's a conflict.
Yeah.
Or someone's older and been through some things, like, that's a conflict. Like, and I think a lot of people don't understand that this age thing, it is very important, but it's in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You should respect people who were doing your art forms before you, because your ass gonna be old one day.
Simple.
Simple.
Right.
Your ass is gonna be old one day, and you gotta be surrounded by a bunch of people like doing you, right? Doing you and saying that it ain't really worth anything.
That's really fact.
So you could imagine yourself spending like most of your life dancing, training, like doing music and culture, documenting your shit. All the time and energy you spend into something just to have like somebody who's like a quarter of your age be like, you ain't doing nothing. That's old.
That's
like,
crazy.
That's like, and then don't put some steak on it. Right? The reason why that's so fucked up is because it's a cycle.
Yeah.
Of people just continuing to do that over and over and over again. And where does that put us? That puts us like as subculture, as like less than art. It's a fucking quagmire of idiot fucking behavior. You don't know, really, it doesn't make sense. Because I remember myself as a young kid, like being like, I want to learn that, what these older kids was doing, and then I wanted to be better than them, right? And I remember testing them. And I also remember getting smacked and told to sit the fuck down and leave grown folks alone. Because ain't nobody messing with you.
You can't do this.
We get that. We get that shit. Like, you get shot back then. But like, the whole point was, there was a respect. There was a respect that people would say. There was a culture of respect it if you want people to respect you. Like, because I know, like, these days, shit, every 2 months there's the new hot kid. Like, and the new hot kid, like, he's been dancing for 3 years and he got a crew. Like, he got a crew of little professionals. You know? Like, they're professional. You know, they got an Instagram page. The behavior, right?
What's up, Richard?
I kind of feel like, just like somebody came and told, my elders, look, you gotta stop putting your hands on little homies. Like, you gotta stop hitting them. Somebody need to, like, we all need to be responsible with our culture. Like, and not like on some age shit, but like on some, like, they do what they do, you do what you do, you want to test that, then in our culture, we got ways to do that.
Right.
That nobody gets hurt, and nobody has to be disrespected. If you feel disrespected because somebody danced better than you, or like mixed made a doper track than you, or like, or rap better than you, if you feel literally disrespected because you feel like somebody did something good, like, you shouldn't even be in my community.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now, like, if you feel that way, get a therapist.
You're not happy
on Tuesdays,
like that.
And on Thursdays, like, and we can have tea. Like, we can back it up. But that shit is toxic.
But I can tell you,
It's killing us.
Like, it's funny you say that even about the younger dudes, but some of the older dudes are worse than the young dudes.
They are.
I was just about to say that.
I tell dudes, like, dude, if you're not in these clubs, you can't be mad at the music that they listening to. You're not in the club. You're at home and you're over 40. They have clubs for what you do. Hip-hop music is so young for it to be the #1 genre in the world.
Absolutely.
It's room for everybody to do what they do. And come to find out from dealing with some of the young dudes, they not the ones who's starting the war. It's the old niggas.
Yeah.
Yo, man, that ain't real. And this ain't this.
And
And y'all doing this wrong. And instead of being like, and I seen Soulja Boy check Ice-T. Dude, anybody got my number. If you felt I'm doing something wrong, come see me and teach me what you know.
Right.
And that's all they want, because some of the younger dudes, the only thing they want to know, they want to be able to be like, oh, that's my man. I respect him. He respect me. And let me see what you know that I don't know. Where it's like, so I could do the things that y'all did. But it's the old dudes, some of the older dudes are still trying to, I gotta carry my torch still. Or I didn't make that what I want to make it, and they still striving.
That goes back to honesty. That goes back to honesty.
But the honesty is knowing who you are.
Absolutely, that's my point.
And if your time passed, then pick up one of the young dudes and be like, look, my time passed. Let me give you all the jewels.
Or whoever rocks with you is like, yo, I like that. Just rock with them.
But with the energy you are as a person, you'll attract the right energy.
Absolutely.
So if you have a real negative, nasty energy, and you know, I believe when you're young, you can sense energy. That's probably why some of the young dudes are so appalled by these older niggas, older guys. So when you look at it, if you carry that chip on your shoulder, oh, you know, I'ma still do this dude. If you didn't put a record out in 20 years, what makes you think that you just gonna rap and you know you're gonna pop off?
Shit gonna hit.
But if you want to do that, there's a market for that.
Absolutely.
And that's all cool. But don't try to don't
be dishonest and
right.
hurt people.
And that's the honesty. Like, okay, I can put out a record. If I sell 5,000, that's good. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
I don't have to sell 1 million records and worry about radio. So when I hear old dudes talk about, oh, you know what they play on the radio, dude, if you made something, they wouldn't even play it on the radio.
Right.
Because it's like radio records is all about relative, like what you can relate to. And it's like if you can't relate to some of these things, you can't be mad. So if you want to do something, get some of these young dudes and just build with them and build a bridge. That's the easiest thing you can do. And that right there, it can start to heal. Because one young dude is like, damn, you know, oh, this is my OG. He told me all the right things. And the other dude might look at me like, hey, you know what? I need to give me an OG. And it becomes something that's like a domino effect. It's like that's how the healing can start. But it starts with those who's supposed to have the knowledge, not the young dudes, but the older dudes.
Yeah.
When you're old, you should know better.
Yeah.
And some of these old dudes is worse than young niggas because they don't know no better. They still living in their time. It was 1990. No, dude, it's like we did that already.
Hamster
You know, get off that wheel.
That's what I call it.
It starts something else.
Hamster wheel effect all day. Out of my home, that's why they're not here today. A lot of my friends I came up with, they stuck in the era. They couldn't appreciate what was going on for now. They couldn't see it. I'm like, that's stifling. That's killing the culture though, because what's gonna happen afterwards? You holding that knowledge in. And it affected me for a while. And so your question, I'm still learning. I'm learning. That's something it's a continual learning process as far as for me giving back, because I shut my doors for a long time because of what I learned from the OGs. Too afraid to share, thinking, oh, someone's gonna bite my style, all that kind of thinking. Just really negative thinking. When I got out of that, I'm like, wow, I'm messing up. You know, so I had to change. So in 2013, that's when I opened my studio doors. That's a long time. I've been dancing since 92 and before that. And I just now opened my studio doors in 2013. So I'm like a baby when it comes to like, when you say giving back and teaching and sharing. I started with what I knew best. I started recording sessions. And I had to do it the way I felt comfortable doing it. And as I say, I'm taking it back to the essence. Start with where the music starts from, the producers, and the dance, and take it from there. Open my doors up to whoever want to come in and share that. So I'm still learning.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it's not one that's worse than the other either. Because I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just a different motive. Like, back in the 80s, New York was its most crime-ridden. Honestly, to me, like, it was crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was really rough. It was a hard knock fucking.
But
like.
People look at pictures of New York and be like, "Is it really like this?"
And that's not even a real depiction of it. That's just a picture. Like, it gets deeper than that. And now, but it was like that for a lot of different reasons, governmentally, and there's a lot of different reasons. You know what I mean? Like, and when I was growing up. Like, I grew up I was a teenager in the 2000s, and I work with little kids now. And back then, it was way more violent. It was way more dangerous, and people was doing more ignorant shit. But there was a reason behind it. You know what I mean? Like, there was a purpose. It was a lot of hurt from the parents that raised them, and it was a lot of like just competition and things. The thing about kids now that's different is that it's senseless. There's no reason why kids are doing things now. They just see. But I just feel like it's more senseless. For example, like to hear stories about how a kid killed their mother because they didn't allow them to play video games. You you gotta have nothing there to me. You know what I mean? Like, or like to see kids now like cursing out teachers and not giving a pregnant lady a seat on the train and stuff like that. Like, it's really just a level of like these kids were cultivated a different
Neighborhood.
yeah, it's just a different cultivation of kids now, and it's just a different thing. When I was growing up, we was violent. Not me, I wasn't violent. I'm not gonna sit here like, yeah, I was hood. I was not really violent like that. But a lot of my peers, a lot of people that I knew was really in that street life. But it was a different reason. It was like, yo, I'm not gonna eat. Or all my friends got phones and I don't have a phone. So give me your fucking phone. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, there's a lot of different reasons why. You know what I mean? Like, there was a sense of not wanting, you know, like, I just think it's a different, and these kids are gonna be different from the next kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different reason why we do shit, and then we gotta outreach for those reasons. We gotta figure out what's the reason behind it. You know, like, and then you figure it out. Like, this kid, their mother probably didn't smack him upside the head and tell him get up because the pregnant lady's standing there. You know what I mean? Like, or like the kid know how to argue with their parents enough to get a video game or something. You know what I mean? Like,
see, my thing is about dealing with the young, like not all of them, but some of them. Like I said, once again, they don't know struggle. I came up from an era once again that, you know, the things that we did we didn't do intentionally. We did it because we had to do it. They doing things just to be doing it.
yeah, to be cool.
We had to do the things that we
That's what I'm
did.
saying.
They trust me. They understand right and wrong. I feel like when you get to a certain age, at least over the age of 8 years old, you know the difference between right and wrong. We all know the difference between right and wrong, but we still go out there and do some type of wrong, even though our old ass know the difference between right and wrong. And these kids is the same way. It ain't no excuse for them. It's just the thing is, they in this day and time, they too spoiled. They too sensitive. You tell them any little thing, they pout and cry about it. So like culture wise, they don't really they love doing the dance, but they care less about the history of the dance. That's right. They really don't care. They look at it, and I tell a lot of them this. Just because you may not want to listen to me and me try to give you game about the culture, and I may not have motivated you, but you know what? That person that you look up to, I may have motivated them. So that's all matter to me. So if you don't listen to me, long as you listen to somebody that I have motivated, so sometimes it's no use for me to reach out to them when I done already motivated somebody else that can reach out to them. So I might can talk to that person that they look up to instead of talking to them. See, if we can do things like that, you know, it probably be a little bit better. But a lot of times we try to go straight to the source and clean out that clutter. A lot of times you gotta go above that source. You gotta go to something that's close to them that can get them to listen. If you get what I'm saying? If you can get them to listen through somebody else, that's fine. You still reaching out to them. So you don't have to always just go to a person and try to reach out to them on the person itself. You can go, it's always another route that you can get to people. You get what I'm saying? So that's our thing. We may not be reaching out to them the way that we should be reaching out to them. We may think the old way is probably the best way. Sometimes the old way is, but this is a new day and time. This is a new generation. The operation is totally different compared to what we went through compared to what they went through. We went through getting whooping switches. They don't even get whoopings no more. They just get their tablet taken away for a day or two. A lot of times, like he said, sometimes it do be the overhead. Because it's been a lot of times that they have pushed my button that I wanted them to learn the right way. But one thing that I had to understand was you can't force nothing on anyone. You can't do that. But you still can figure out a way to reach out and get to them. You know, and that may, just like I might can't get to you, but by he's close to you, I might can get through him to get to you.
Even if I'm influenced by him, and it's like if I see him around you, that's an influence also.
Exactly.
Because it's like, okay, cool, you must be doing, oh, that's your man. Oh,
right.
But these are
respect. And that's when it don't always boil. It don't boil down to one thing: respect. And the first time somebody feel like they disrespected, like they said, wherever it is smoke, it's a fire. And that's how they gonna feel. They gonna feel like that. you done caught this smoke and now they finna burn you up. They finna go get and set you on fire. So we just gotta figure out a way to kind of reach out to them as far as culture-wise differently than old fashioned sometimes. You know, we probably have to take a new route because where I'm from, the young generation, they don't listen to the OGs at all. They don't listen to none of us. They don't. They listen to a group, but like I said, the only thing they just want to do, they just want to dance. They don't care about, you know, who created what or the depth of what. Well, they don't care about technique or anything. They just want to walk before they crawl.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't do that.
Gratification.
Yeah, it's that smartphone era, man.
Every day, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the same thing. You see people on Instagram making beats. They can't. They just because like they put it together just so they can say, oh, I can do this. And people be like, wow, he killing it. But meanwhile, somebody else can be like, yo, you know what? Someone can never rap on it. But if you open your mouth and you tell them that, then you're deemed a hater.
Yeah.
So this is what you have. What we have to do is we have to look and find other ways to be able to critique or get to people.
Right.
So that way doesn't look as that.
Right. That's all I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. You know?
One person, like I said, if you have 3 or 4 people that you cool with, that they look up to, sometimes that's enough respect for them to be like, man, he gotta be that dude. Because it's like, yo, if he rocking with them, yo, he gotta be that guy. It's like they're just seeing how they think sometimes because they don't want to listen and they don't want to run through. They just want to be like, yo, I just want to get to the money or I want to get to the fame and I don't care about what's in the middle. If I got to die in the middle somewhere, just make sure you bring me back to life at the end. You know, and that's what it seems like. So it's got to be a way to get to them where it's like they know, they can understand, you know, how hard things may be, the road that's ahead. And that's why I say sometimes, like, if you get the one, and that one person even walk half of the road or 3/4, they're gonna be like, yo, you did that? Oh man, if he did that shit, I could do that shit. Because there's all a competition with them still. If he can do that, I can do that shit. I'm not even worried about that shit. Watch him do the same thing. So sometimes it does take to find, like you were saying, you have people who weren't dancing and you know, that you can take and make them stars. It's like, if you have a couple, you can get many. Yeah. All it is like a Pied Piper. Yep. Because if you're doing something with people that they want to do, eventually they're gonna fold and be like, dang, man, I want to be on that stage right there with them.
Well, I would hope so, but
No,
listen, hear me out. I'm just saying that, like, it's not always a silver lining. You know, like, sometimes you just gotta fall back. Sometimes you gotta be like, you know what, I did what I could here. You know, like, and when you have like a community of people you work with, I mean, if you mentor more than 2 or 3 or 4 people, like, it's like an assembly line. You know, when there's a kink here, like there's a backup. Yeah. With everybody here, you know, so like trying to find different ways to reach people, that's ultimately the goal. But honestly, like when it don't work, you know, like you have to.
Sometimes like when you get to a situation like that, sometimes you just have to let go and you have to let them learn their own lesson.
That's another.
You know, you can't. A lot of times we can have all the answers. That don't mean that they'll use the right answer to pass the test. They might want to use their own answer to pass the test, even though you done gave them the correct answer to pass. So it's pretty much everybody got their own way of thinking. It just, my opinion is, I just think in this generation that they gonna do what they want to do regardless, whether we tell them what to do, what's right to do or not.
But that's not an opinion. That's kind of like a fact.
That is a fact.
And just in case somebody disagrees. So I just wanted to make myself clear.
I've seen that. But there's 2 sides. As I said, I've also seen the other side. And it's like, it's not like it's happened a million times. So if it's 100, maybe it was 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. But that 3 or 4 can be better than 0. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, we can't tie people up and make them do it. It's like, if they're not going to do it, you let them go fall on their face. It's always going to be somebody else who's going to come to you. And it's like in our lifetime, we can't worry about reaching 1 million people.
Right.
If you reach one person, that one person can reach 1 million, your job is done. Because that one person, they going to preach about you to the 1 million people about what you did.
Yeah.
That's your legacy. So we don't need to really go crazy, OD, trying to reach everybody. We just need one.
No, it's just like this here. Like 100 pennies may be a lot compared to 4 quarters. I'd rather deal with those four quarters, even both of them equal out to $1. I'd rather deal with them 4 quarters, them four loyal people than 100 some fake people.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
I understand that. But that's why I said I only take one.
Huh.
It only take one.
But what I'm saying is I'm comparing 100 to just only 4. It don't take that many.
Yeah.
It don't take that many.
Yeah.
It really don't.
That's dope. It don't take that many quarters to make a dollar. That's facts. Yo.
That makes sense.
Let's open it up to the floor. Do any of you guys have questions in general? We'll bring it up to the panelists.
I do. Jason, this one is for you. So with the Mainline Collective, like John T was saying earlier, the archiving of, things that are important to us is like a big thing to me. And just writing about it and talking about it is a big thing in the collective as well. I always wondered, as far as like West Coast freestyle dance, like what was kind of the source, like what kind of like catapulted that move? Like there's always been like a big question mark, was it like music?
It starts with the music, and after the music, I would say the people that came before me. Soul Brothers, Far Side, the people I looked up to that inspired me, directly inspired me. But first it was the music. Always starts with the music. Music inspires. It starts at that source and everything goes out from there. The dance is just the interpretation of the music vibration. Then from there, people are influenced and inspired, and then from there, it spreads. So that's where it started. That's how it went.
Which music were you guys listening to?
We listen to a lot of East Coast music, man. West Coast music, a lot of the gangster rap. I wasn't listening to that stuff. That wasn't what I was into, even though I lived around it. Like where I stayed, I was in the 60s neighborhood. Like where Nipsey got killed was 2 blocks away from where I grew up. 2 blocks away. I lived on Bryanhurst. So from Bryanhurst, Nipsey, I grew up around just a lot of people getting killed. People on my block, one person down the street, he got killed. So dance literally saved my life. Like music really saved my life. I started with music because without the music, it wouldn't have been the dance. So that always kept me out of trouble. And I was a skateboarder too. I was really good at that too. I know when I was good at skateboarding, so skateboarding and dance kept me out of trouble, kept me out the streets. And as far as the music is concerned, we listen to a lot of like the East Coast music, like De La Soul, Tribe, big Tribe fan. Because of the music, the vibrations of the music was more dance based. The production was more dance based music. So that's what it was for us. So.
Can you talk about the relationship you had with some of the producers and that plug that you had that you mentioned? You share that story with the group?
You talk about when we practice in our studio, we dance a lot of different tracks. I don't know if you guys seen some of the videos I posted back in like late 90s, early 2000 era. A lot of that music came from Detroit. YG basically came from YG. YG gave a sample music tape to a guy we knew named Taz. Taz Arnold, he started as Tisa, and Taz knew us because I met Taz back in '91. He was into collecting polo and in the gear, and he was making music. He just started making music. He had an SP 1200, and back then he saw us in the club scene. Of course, he was dancing. We met, and then from there, knowing the relationship with Taz and Taz being related to music, that's how we got the music. So a lot of the stuff we were practicing to, no one else was practicing that. We were blessed in that sense to have those vibes before a lot of people heard it, before it got popular and everybody else heard it much later. So that's how that came about.
What were some of aside from the music, what were some of the movement influences that y'all had? Like, what were y'all looking at, that influenced you guys movement-wise? Like, was it just, like some of the breaking and shit that was coming out of the East Coast? Like, were you looking at other parts of the world, you know what I'm saying? Seeing shit on TV, like...
Movement, besides the West Coast, Stretch, Mop Tops, of course we was influenced by them back in the early 90s. Right. They were heavy influence, definitely looking like Mariah Carey videos, and then Hathaway was like, ooh, this is dope. So movement-wise, they were an inspiration too, as well as some of the West Coast people as well. Other than them, we went inside. I would call it going inside and just really listening to the music and finding our own style within through the music, and just using the music as a channel for our movement. But as far as like people inspirations, I would definitely credit them. And I would credit, like I said, Farside, Soul Brothers, people that no one's ever seen here, Dynamite Soul. It's a lot of groups that was in West Coast that was incredible. I don't know if you guys know Razzcast, rapper. Razzcast was incredible. Like, he was another influence. Razzcast used to run and do backflips off of walls and do hand slides across the whole circle. Wow. And his name was Raising. That was his dance name. So see, our story, now East Coast story has been told. Most people know about it, but our story has never been told. So we're working on a documentary right now. Hopefully this documentary gets done, we get it out. I have a lot of footage. I know some other cat, D from Pump It Up, she has a lot of footage that no one has ever seen. Now, a lot of the OG East Coast people, they're not going to bring up these people. Now, I can't speak for them why they don't talk about it, because they came to the West Coast, and there were a lot of battles that went down.
Can you tell us about some?
Well, I know West Coast was one of the biggest ones in Palladium. Farside was talking about that on the IG page. They won that battle. It was like East Coast, West Coast. Peekaboo came out, and West Coast won. They will never speak on it. They won't speak on that. And the only person that they speak on from the West Coast is Craigie from the Soul Brothers. Who else would they mention? If they say anything else about West Coast, it's like, oh, them dudes are Hollywood, this and that. And I have to get on the thing and check, like, yo. Like, oh, yeah, y'all cool, y'all cool. But they don't really speak on us. But if someone asks me about them, I'm like, I was inspired by them. Because they had the opportunity to be able to express their culture and their freestyle through a lot of the rappers, because the rappers actually, this is the crazy thing. Def Jeff and the Vine Stylers from the East Coast, the only two East Coast rappers that pretty much sponsored West Coast dancers. So East Coast, you guys, like, as far as the mentality, maybe because hip hop started on the East Coast, they knew what was up with the culture. So they helped the dancers get on and gave them a platform. That's why you know about Voodoo Stretch and all these people, because they gave back. West Coast, they didn't care about no dancing. That wasn't their thing. It was a gangster culture. Dancing was like you soft. So that's how it was on the West Coast. So that's why a lot of people never saw West Coast art form, West Coast freestyle, because there was no platforms for us to do it. And that's just true.
Unless it was an East Coast video.
No, this is the thing. Those rappers came to the West Coast and they picked up West Coast dancers, but originally they were from the East. The Vine Styler was from the East. And if you watch the Vine Styler video, people that's dancing in it, those dancers were from the West Coast. Dynamite Soul, Scheme Team. Scheme Team was a West Coast dance groups, but the rapper was from the East Coast. It's facts though.
For you, your story, the community being so close to LA and Hollywood and industry, I bet you've seen a lot of people who were like the choreographers and artists who were also maybe getting into your scene in your clubs, what did that look like to you?
What do you mean? This thing go a lot of ways.
So many stories. I'm just trying to pitch it to you so you can just start talking, give people an idea.
That's a why. Yeah, you pitched it wide. Yeah, wide. Try to stay on a positive note here, you know, because I know a lot of things and a lot of the public does not know. That's inside things that, like, remember the time video. I know how that all came about. That was a video with East Coast dancers and West Coast dancers. Of course, everybody knows Fatima was one of the choreography coach for it. And Stretch. But a lot of people, Fatima got her influences from people that she doesn't credit. And did a lot of things that I would say was really cool. But that's another story. They don't give the credit. It was Soul Brothers. Her start was with the Soul Brothers. She got influence with them and from a girl named Tish, which was an incredible dancer on the West Coast. She was one of the dopest girl freestyle dancers. She was one of my favorite all-time dancers of influence. She was incredible. She actually credited her later after I interviewed her. Much later, she finally gave it up. Was like, Tish was my favorite dancer. She, you know, I got on tape saying that. But back when all this choreography jobs was happening, all the money was flying, he wasn't hearing that. There was no mention. But I saw a lot. Like I saw a lot. I mean, like, yeah, with that, like, as far as what you want to know about, like,
whatever you want to share. It's good. The whole Black Eyed Peas thing.
Black Eyed Peas, yeah, those cats. I knew them before they even came out. Before they were dancers, right? They were dancers.
Yeah.
They started off as dancing. They were dancing in a club called Ballistics in LA. This is like the early '90s. So I used to get with them all the time. I know them well. They were the freestyle dancers. And they were influenced pretty much by the same people I was influenced by. Stevie T, Dynamite Soul Brothers. So,
any questions from the audience? Tina?
Do you have any up and coming artists, dancers, producers that you see as like, okay, y'all have the rawness from our generation, you can bear the torch? Or do you feel like the art is in good hands, or do you feel completely hopeless? Like, how do you feel about the future of hip hop and music?
So for me, right, being from Brooklyn, the Brooklyn rappers from this day and age, I really like. But the problem is that they too much into crime. You know what I mean? Like Bobby Shmurda and Rowdy, they were really good. They made a whole new style of rap from New York, and they got locked up. They made a new flow. You know what I mean? Like, and they got locked up. And then Troy Ave came out, and he started doing something interesting. But then he started busting shots in the club, and he got locked out, and then he snitched. Young M.A. took Rowdy style. You know what I mean? The Rowdy Rebel style. She ran with it, but she didn't really hit because she wasn't bringing nothing. And 6ix9ine just came with his flow, and then you see everything that happened with him. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of creative people. It's really exciting to see like my borough produce all these rappers and stuff. I just hate the crime aspect of it, like that takes them out. You know what I mean? Like in terms of music, you know, like I like A Boogie, I like Dave East and Young M.A. and like a lot of the rappers from New York. They came out and they were really dope. You know what I mean? Like they brought that New York flavor with them. You know what I mean? Look, even ASAP. You know what I mean? You got Ferg and all of them on their side and Rocky on their side, and it's two different flows and all. I'm really excited about that. When it comes to dancing, in Lightfield right now, there's a group called Waffle Crew and Kid the Wiz. Like Kid the Wiz is like the most notable person in that group, but Waffle Crew is like the mainstream Lightfield group. And in other styles of dance, there's always those mainstream people that aren't really a good representation of what the dance looks like. They might not be as skilled as the people that are important in like other right now in hip hop, everybody knows the Twins. You know what I mean? Like, but the Twins to me is not really a good representation of hip hop dance at all. You know what I mean? They just have a nice image. You know, they look cool. You know what I mean? But in Life Beat with Waffle Crew and Kid the Wiz and everybody, like, what's cool about them is that they all battled and got their name up the right way, and Kid the Wiz has like really changed the Life Beat music scene, and he's really important. And I really am happy to see them prosper in the mainstream media, and it's really exciting to see them like grow, because those are people that were really involved and in tune, and they still in tune with the culture. You know what I mean? So for my style personally, like those are some of the people that I could say is like people that I trust with the next evolution, or not the next evolution, but the good representation into mainstream media. You know what I mean?
I had a question. This happens in, I think, all form of hip hop. How come, like every 3-4 years, it's like a cycle in music and dance? No one really picks up like a new act to the group or the crew to mold and keep everything going. I know in rap they don't do that, and production they don't do it. And dancing, you guys don't do it either. But if not, like say like 4 years come, and it's like it's some dude who's extra great, and he lives on 8th Street.
Okay.
And it's like as the older dudes are getting older, it's like you'd be like, all right, let's put the focus of the crew. It's like basketball.
No, we do that in dancing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
in life, we do that. In my crew, for instance, like it's hard to get down with my crew though. You know what I mean? Because we got a lot of people come and go. You know what I mean? But like, for example, like the leader of my crew, he's finally decided after like 3-4 years to like put 2 or 3 people down. It just depends on the standards. But in dance, you see that a lot more. A lot more. Because like look at Crump, for example. Crump started with Tight Eyes and Miho, and like it's them. At the end of the day, like there's people that he has a fan. Tight Eyes has a fan, the Eyes fan, and then everybody in Eyes fan has a fan too. You know what I mean? Like, and it goes on like a lineage like that. Like, he's like a great grandfather and the father of Crump.
That's dope.
Our generation was the one that did.
Yeah. When that was alive, his generation didn't do that for us. There's no connection between us and Mob Top, Elite Force, none of that. The only one that I was really connected with, like out of anybody, was Voodoo Ray. Because Voodoo Ray was very heavily connected to the New York community, and he just wanted to see people come and show off their stuff. Voodoo Ray knew me before I knew him. And I'm not saying that was my friend, you know what I mean? But like, he knew about us, because he was he was, to me, out of all of them, the most open to change. You know what I mean?
I want to meet him, whatever got a chance.
He's a beautiful guy, like beautiful soul, and it was really nice to meet him and talk to him. And he was like, "Yo, you one of those lifey guys? Like I watch you guys." And like I didn't even know who he was yet, because I don't know anything about like that culture, because they never took the time. They were the only group that really kind of isolated themselves, but they were also the group that was making the most money in dance. Period. You know what I mean? Like b-boys got fucked by the industry. Period. And Lifey, we didn't have any industry. But the people in the middle, those guys were in the most music videos, choreographing the most stuff, and that's the most professional form of hip hop now, you know what I mean? But they're the least connected to like my style and Crump and turfing and flexing and all these new styles that's coming up, you know what I mean? So they did that. But in Lifey, we accept. And
that's dope. And he also, to add on, like, I know in hip hop everyone has a thing where it's like the equity of getting paid, where it's like they're not getting that due diligence of what they feel. One thing I know too is like if you could ever get a little window of opportunity, like you can do a lot with it. And it's like, I don't know if there's ever been like someone, like a whole bunch of bands, even if it's 2 different groups, like, hey, you know what? We could make our own play, and it's like we could put our play together and we could take this on the road. Because it's like if you already have a little notoriety from dancing, you could do these things. Because I see people, they are writing plays now, even if they're doing it in colleges, in different places, small places, venues, and building up. Is that possible with dance? Like,
It's possible, but it depends. That goes back to what your role is and what people want. You know what I mean? Because it's a good method for like me. I would identify more with that, but there's somebody else that like might not. You know what I mean? Like,
even with them two, I'm saying like music is different. Pretty sure all y'all have a different style. That's what I mean. That's what makes like a play is something interesting because you put a storyline behind it, and it's like the dancing. When you have musicals on Broadway, it's nothing but music and dance.
right.
So for our people, why we can't do like the same thing?
I'm something a little different. It's just my idea is a little different spin. This is something that doesn't exist right now, but it's not in a play form. But my vision is for dancers to be actual recording artists. I'm thinking about the whole industry. I've had this idea since I saw Moonwalker. That was my inspiration for this vision. It's been in my head for like years, literally. And for me, my biggest dream is to see dancers to be able to prosper like how basketball players. But I'm actually walking that walk now instead of just keeping it in my head for so long. What I see is dancers, producers, film becoming one thing. And film being the glue, the dancers being the artists, and the producers and the dancers sharing spoils together as a team. Because the problem with dance now is dancers dance to music as an afterthought, and they have no connection with what the music is made. And that's why I started doing recording sessions, to bring dancers and producers together. Because if dancers start building with producers, then we can build our whole industry. And it'd be an offshoot. And I have a way to do that. Now this idea, I'm not about to talk about that, the construction, but I thought even how to do it. And to make those three things become one. And that's my vision for dancers, producers, and film.
But I think even with it, like I don't know where everything got lost. But it was a time dancers were the star on stage. Yeah. And I don't know where the transition got lost. We had like Scoop and Scrap.
Right behind.
Dancers, like if you was doing hip hop, the dancers were more popular than sometimes the artist was. Or just
That's how it was in the West Coast of the club probably.
But where do you think like we went wrong with everything? Because even looking at that, if you have that, like we thinking in a new age now, it's like we are that person. It's like I'm gonna just say Scoop and Scrap. They were, Cage dancers. Like, do you think they could have found another outlet to be like, yo, people know us, we're out on the branch?
I can answer that question. You answer that question. This is what I'm thinking about. Well, we're wrong. I won't say nothing we're wrong. The dancers were relying on the artists too much. They were relying on the MCs too much and relying on the industry too much. They was leaning on the industry. And dancers should have been thinking about how can we ourselves, how can we take our art form and do something with it. They weren't thinking that way. They were thinking outside themselves. Thinking like, how can you help me with the handout? Put me on, I want to choreograph for the put me on, I want to do the such and such for the video. Yo, I'm done, let me dance with you. Take me on tour. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's
what it was.
That's exactly what it was.
That's what happened.
The artists kind of pretty much crippled us, because we was leaning onto their music, because without music we don't have anything to dance to.
Yeah. There you go.
You get what I'm saying? So the artists, they had kind of started slacking. Then they started taking certain music out of the club. Then once they took that music out of the club, they took the dancers out of the club.
Word.
So we didn't have any other outlet to go to and dance. So it caused us to do other things. It caused us to go back to doing maybe something we didn't have no business doing, because now we don't lost track and focus on what we were doing as a hobby. We didn't have that anymore because of dealing with the artists. Then all of a sudden, when the music did come back to the game, it changed them so much where there wasn't our cup of tea to be dancing off of.
Right.
So it's like we lost it. We was like, damn, they ain't even making that type of music no more. But like he said, we were leaning to the art. We were hoping that we can get the chance to get into the music video, go on tour, get on these stages. Like the era where I came up, when all of this was going on, we didn't have any kind of outlet. The only outlet that we had, honestly, was the Apollo. We didn't have anything but the Apollo, and we didn't have the people. We had a lot of people who used to tell us, "Look, we're gonna get the chance. We're gonna take you guys here, take you guys there." A lot of us dancers got, we got dreams sold to us, man. Where it was like, well, this was not meant for me. So now I'm gonna stop. I'm done. And then you had a lot more dancers saying the same thing. Well, I'm done until they seen when technology picked back up, dealing with the internet and stuff like that. It motivated them to say, hey, if this little young guy can do it, and then I'm seeing this young guy doing it wrong, and I can be a big help into this young guy's life to show him how to do it the right way. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna come back. I'm just gonna try to come back and educate and teach. You know, and that's what I came back to do.
And I can tell you too that another thing is that when you look at other genres of music and things like that, like in those industries, they look as dancers as even, you know what I mean? And as even in other genres as the artists, you know what I mean? Like it was just certain things. What happened in hip hop also is that a lot of people, which goes back to what you were saying, on leaning on the artists and stuff, a lot of people, because they don't know their worth, they'll take pay cuts and they'll also just do anything to get into a music video. And eventually it went from like, all right, this guy's making 1,000, and then if the artist don't want to pay this 1,000, they'll go to you like, no, listen, I pay you $900. And then the guy's like, whoa, $900, you know what I mean? Like, because they don't want to pay that extra 100. Yo, I pay you $5. I pay you $5, I pay you $4. And then it got to exposure. It was like, yo, you could be in a music video.
That's this generation.
That's just generation now. When back in the day, it was a point where it was like, no, this is my contract, this is how much I cost, like this, I need this when I go, I need this when I go. But then people were just so anxious to get famous and to get seen and all that, and then they sacrifice their worth monetarily and spiritually and physically. They'll do anything just to get looked at, you know what I mean? Because that fame will help them just to have that on their resume, you know what I mean? So it became a thing of like, once there was those people that said, yeah, I'll do it for 100. They're doing 400? No, I'll do it for 100. I just want to be in the video.
I'll do it for the logo.
Yeah. Exactly. Once you have those people like that and nobody was correcting them, anything, like there was no stopping these guys, that's to me another, just to add on to what they were saying, to be with the artist, like that was kind of that switch.
That's across the board.
But is there any way to come back from that?
Of course you can, definitely, especially now with the internet, like what he was saying, like the internet is a great platform for that now,
Right.
because you're connected with the world now in a different way, and anybody could be famous now, so it could be a real blessing. The problem with the internet is that you can see anything on the internet now. Like you could go and see people fight. You could see a guy slap an old lady. You could see somebody burn something at 1,000 degrees and see what happens on YouTube. Or you could see like these guys in Indonesia making houses underground with sticks. Like, you know what I mean? You can see anything.
But it's universal musically. It's not just for videos. It's like, you know, now everyone's playing in restaurants and cafes and weddings for free for exposure. Just, you know.
And that's crazy to me. Like, so the first step you gotta do, and that's something I actually teach a lot of people in Life Feed, is like, don't be afraid to tell somebody your price, because whoever wants to give you money will always give you money. And whoever really likes you will always like you. You know what I mean? Like, but when you start saying your price to people and they're like, yeah, well, we'll talk about it, and they walk away, then you know who really values you and who doesn't. You know what I mean? And that's how you combat that. And then it's scary now at first to tell somebody this is how much I cost.
And there's some things that are just fact and practical, and this mostly has to do, as far as dancers, is like performing rights organizations. Like what dance has is different than what making a track has. You know, like, and with dancers don't always know all the arenas that they can actually monetize and have rights to their stuff. As a dancer, like anything that you dance on that you don't own belongs to someone else. You know, like, and you cannot copyright movement.
No, you
can't. But you can a method of teaching. You know, like, so dancers have to know what it is that they want to be. It's funny because dancers would be like, yo, I just want to battle. I'm on that tip. you know, but they don't understand that like there's no money in that. So the first thing they said they want to make some money, and then they said I just want to battle. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
Those are two different career paths. And like knowing what it is that's available to you, you know, and also putting work and energy and time into that is key. Like with dance, like yeah, there's not performing rights organizations for dancers like that reach our level. Like so, if you do ballet, I'm sure, you know, there's some people that you can get, you know, and ballets that you can get in huge organizations that put money behind that. So we're actually crowding our own market by not like coming up with ideas and ways that we can monetize what we do. And I don't trip on it because it's just the world we live in. It's nobody else's fault. It's up to us to just fix it, change it. You know, like bottom line, I've been writing a bunch of things with Next Level, you know. We've been working on some things with about helping people publish music, you know. And it's dumbfounding how much money is out there. Like if you got a MacBook and some dope software, like there's possibilities out there. Like, you know, like you can start up like a mug, you know. But dance, like you have to be a little bit more creative, and you know, and also work really, really hard to get what you're doing. Not saying other people don't work hard. I'm just saying, as dancers, like, if we all enjoy one style of dance, let's just say, it was like one style that we all love, you know, and we're all working our asses off of that because that's what we do for culture. Like, what's the chances of all of us being able to approach a market, make the kind of living that we want, that's going to pay our bills, and do all these things for us, you know? That's why dancers are going to school and getting degrees and teaching at universities. You know, that's why they're writing methods of teaching. You know, that's why they're choreographing for musicians. Like they're not doing videos; they're just teaching them how to stand at the mic. Right. You know, like they're gonna move around. Like people are getting paid for these things. Yeah. But getting back to the question, my answer is that there are not very many ways for dancers to monetize their skill sets.
Because there's nothing definite.
Yes.
There needs to be more definite stuff.
I'm just like all type of dances. They have ballet, etc., etc.
Yeah.
You have ballet recitals and all these things. Yeah. Well, we can't have hip hop recitals.
We do.
No, I'm saying, but
they just don't pay the same. It's about the market.
So how do we market it?
So I've done events here in the United States. I've done events like internationally, right? So, but I know 100%. I made 4 times in Austria, like doing dance because it's supported by a larger community of people who consider themselves high art, right? So they built that. Then I could make right here in DC where I live.
So you feel because it's like, and this is music too. If you look on the internet, everyone's a producer.
Yeah.
Brings the value now. Everyone's a rapper. Brings the value now. You feel like the dance is the same.
Absolutely.
Because I know, like the kids who was in Special Delivery, right? Let's take that video.
Jeff, I know them. Jeremy and Enodi, I know those guys.
When people, they became famous for that. Right. So I'm pretty sure there was some other kids like, oh, I can do that just like them. Yeah. And it's like, it becomes the thing. Oh, you don't gotta pay me. You just give me a shot. Just, you know, let me show you what I can do. It's like, I do shit just to be known. So it's pretty much the same thing that goes on for
sure. For sure. And now one thing I can tell you to add on what he was saying before, right, is that, like, for me, I'm a historian. And, like, that's one thing that I know now, and I'm a community activist. That's my lane. You know what I mean? I try to, this is why I go back once again to talking about honesty in your role. Because then that starts bringing definition and figuring out, like, how you're going to monetize your thing. We're all different. And if you're honest about who you are, then you can figure out how you want to get paid. You know what I mean? And it's that simple. You know what I mean? Like for me, I love history of Light Feet, and I love to help people get into it and build them up. That's my thing. So I'm a youth activist. I run grant-funded programs to give teachers a chance to teach and things like that. And I go to every single OG. I record them. I get as much information as I can, save as much footage as I can. And now I'm a beacon of information and growth for people. There's another guy I like named Spaceman, and he's the fashion stylist for Diddy's sons, for King Combs and all of them. You know what I mean? And King Combs and they grabbed Mr. YouTube and Kid Pat and all of them and had them finna get loose. You know what I mean? Like as the dancers for that. You know what I mean? Like, but they were like Spaceman. He ended up being close to them the most because he dresses like them the most, and he has the aura of that guy, and he's all about fashion style.
He has all the things that they want.
And he's super definite about who he is. You know what I mean? Like, and then that's why they work with him. And then what he does is he says, all right, look, I'm a fashion stylist. I style for them. I dance with them on stage and all that. Now I'm gonna bring anybody that wants to dance with celebrities, pop out with me. You want to get fly with me? Pop out with me. Come and be in. That's his thing. You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta figure out who you are as a person, and then you can turn that into a job. And then you're doing what you love, you know what I mean? Like, for real, like, and then the business doesn't hurt.
Yeah. I mean, you know, people, like these facts they're just facts.
Yeah.
Right? Like, are there ways to monetize? Yes. You know, like, is it hard work? Yes. Is that what we should expect? Yes. You know, I'm just saying the way that we think about what we do sometimes in different dance styles, like, kind of keeps us from optimizing.
Yeah, for sure.
Other art forms, they're canonized. You know, like they have a place where all that information is. Like, you know, so when people when people want to know about that kind of stuff, you know, they can go and they can look. They can see all the different aspects of it. They can see that this person thought this, and this person had this theology, and this person did it like this, and they accept it as a part of their genre, their tradition. Like, their canon is full of information. If you looked in like urban dance canon, you'd see a bunch of stories about people arguing with each other about like shoes or about who battled each other at the club.
East Coast versus West Coast.
Yeah.
You see a lot of drama.
But all of this stuff, though it's good for sitting around and telling stories, like people don't put money on it. Like people don't pay for that. Like you know, if I wanna teach my kids, like, if my kids come to me and they say, hey, I wanna, you know, get a MFA in like hip hop culture, you know, there's no place in the United States that they can go and do that solid. Okay, there's some organizations and some universities and some colleges that are doing their damn best, you know, but the programs are still supported differently. Up front, they say we do, but what are the students learning, and what are the students putting out in the world? They definitely aren't coming and hanging out in our cyphers or in our culture, you know? Like, but that's our future. That's who's gonna tell our stories. That's who's gonna say, oh yeah, I know everything it is about E Solo. Like, yeah, I learned from my teacher at so-and-so college about him. They won't say, you know, I ran into that dude in the cypher, you know, and then I pulled him to the side and we talked for like an hour, you know, or I took his class, you know, 4 semesters straight, you know, because I just thought I needed that information. You know, like, we have to do that for ourselves. You know, no one's gonna do that for us. And it starts like in our communities, like how we treat each other, how we prep our path, you know? Like, and not just like as individuals, but like as teams. Like, if you got 8 people, you know, who are informed about different dance styles and you guys all work together and you go somewhere and you say, yo, we got a product. As a matter of fact, you got a lot of products. This has potential. you know? But everybody wants to find their own little path. But if no one in this world understands like b-boying like they understand like ballet, you'll never get the same thing.
Yeah.
We'll never get paid the
And
same.
also ballet is like 300 years old, man. It's, like, it's mad old. So.
But even, but
It's
no,
mad
it's not.
stuff.
Here's the thing. But here's the thing, though. It's old, but it's documented.
That, yeah,
Like,
fuck,
and
that's what I'm saying. That's a lot of years of like different histories and generations that have been documented, and then also ballet. Like we think of ballet as like all that standing on the toes and the tutus and stuff, but in the beginning of ballet, that was one style of ballet. You know what I mean? That the king liked. That he marketed as this is what I want for ballet. But there was, you know what I mean?
I've been introducing the ballet. It's been the same for over a century.
But there's other styles of ballet that from the beginning, because when I speak to certain instructors, like older instructors, they tell me like, yo, when you look in the beginning of ballet, there was mad different styles and things of ballet that people were doing, different energies and stuff.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's the difference between that and us is how it's treated.
Absolutely.
Because how it's documented.
Absolutely.
You know, like documenting what we do. I know you said something about like, you know, stealing somebody's styles, you know, like this person is stealing, you know, I ain't gonna show nobody no moves, you know. Fine. Write them down.
Word.
Because at one point, you ain't gonna be able to do those moves.
Yep.
And the only way that you can pass that down is if you document
And
it.
that's just fact.
You know?
That's
like,
right.
just like some of these like really, really basic things. It's like until we show people we value what we do, we can't ask them to value us.
Yep.
Like, and that's
Another one.
that's what's hitting people in the pocket.
Would you say that lack of value comes from like a lack of like standard of discipline amongst each other? Like,
That's one thing.
because if you talk about ballet and like, you know, how ballet has evolved into these contemporary modern forms, you have these Martha Grahams and these Limons and all this stuff, right? That's how ballet and stuff like that evolved. Like, so we have our same cultures, you know, of hip hop. You know, you have, you know, like he was talking about the different generations of hip hop and how it's evolved, you know, over time, right? Like, but I think something that like we commonly miss is like the standard of discipline that we hold amongst each other. You know what I mean? That like, so these more like, you know, considered professional dances. You know what I'm saying? Like they get paid more and they get more notoriety and they get more jobs and they're able to teach in universities and, you know what I'm saying, get these degrees like in these art forms specifically, you know? So like, would you say like the standard of discipline that we hold amongst our communities like could be that game changer in how we like hold each other to that standard of discipline?
I think the standard of kindness we show in our communities is, I think that's the thing.
Sure.
You know, because right now, if you wanted to like get a degree, let's say you wanted to teach hip hop dance at a university, you actually have to go to school and get a degree in ballet.
Right.
Or postmodern contemporary that they broadly call dance, right? Just so you can teach your own culture. So you have to go learn to be somebody else to be you. Like, and that thing isn't just the institution, you know? Like, no, that's us doing that to us. You know, because we gotta do better in our own communities. You know, like, and I think kindness is in the root of that. You know, because like when things get competitive, when like people are broke and ain't got much, you know, or when you're doing the best and you sitting at the top, looking down at a bunch of cats doing worse than you. You know, like, where's the kindness, man? Where's the goodness? Like
to add on too, like another thing is that a lot of these people are professional because they take the steps to be professional. You see a lot of people complaining about stuff all the time, like, oh, this person's here, this, that, and the third. But when you go to a professional dancer, they got their resume, they got their headshots, they got document, they got like video footage of like all the videos
That's what I
that
mean by
did.
discipline,
And that's something that, you know, as a street dancer, I had to learn to do that. You know what I mean? Like whether I like to or not, because I feel like for example, like Life is the third generation of hip hop. You should just respect that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, nobody's gonna respect you like what he was saying. Like, nobody's gonna value you if you don't value yourself. And if you see that people need your highlight reel, people need your thing, people need to see some type of officialness, why wouldn't you just do that just for the safety of yourself? You know what I mean? Like, it's just that simple. Like, and I had to learn to do that so that I could get more work and so that people could see what I'm about. Because I could tell people all day, I'm a historian. I could tell people, yo, I know every style of life, this, that, and the third. But people not even gonna care.
Show me, yeah.
If you, that's like saying like, yo, I'm rich. Imagine if you see somebody that's bummy and like they smell bad and they got dirty skin and they nasty hair, but they're millionaires. Like they live in a mansion, but they just don't take care of themselves. You're not even gonna want to stand next to that person and be like, yo, what's up? And then that person tell you, yo, come back to my mansion real quick. And they look like a homeless dude. You know what I mean? Like, you just, you know, whether, you know, no matter what, it's okay if that's what they like to do. But if you want to be professional, that's just what it is. Yeah.
You need your tools wherever you go.
You need that. If you want to be professional, that's how sometimes it goes reverse, where people look professional and they not. Like, that's what it is. Those fakers, they take the steps to look real. You know what I mean? Because they know that they're not real back in the ciphers back home and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So at least if I got booked by this person, I got booked by this, I did this, I got my resume, I got my highlight reel, I got my instruction, I've taught here. Like, no matter how much you're better than me, I already look better, you know what I mean? So like a lot of dancers in the street dance world, all across the board, gotta take just that one step, just for the safety of your well-being and general population in public.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So you're saying pictures would include too, like headshot or stuff, you know, pictures and.
You need all that, bro.
Yeah,
you need all that. You know when I get
same
these
thing
hit-ups
the artist
now?
has.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing you have as an artist, a dancer should have the same thing.
Absolutely.
Every type of artist should have their press kit, electronic press kit, EPK, all that stuff, and bio. So it's like, you know, highlight reel, website, everything.
Yo, that's the difference between getting paid. That's why you get some of these rappers that they're just like open call for dancers, exposure. We just need some dancers to come out and dance in our video. Those people that go to that, they fall for that because it's like, oh, now it's my chance. I don't have to do the resume. I don't have to do none of that. But then you're not getting paid and you just got used. Whereas you're an industry dancer or something and you got all your stuff ready and then you get hired and it counts now. Now it counts.
Even the tours.
Yep.
So, Junius, you were mentioning that you're interested in building some like more of an organizational structure for street dance, like so less of an emphasis on oral storytelling and more so on documentation, more so on, you know, having a like conglomerated body of work. But wouldn't that essentially remove a lot of the essence of what street dance is? Because street dance was a lot of it, many elements of it was created by kids who were trying to escape oppression, right? So there's that rawness, there's that like feeling of like, you know, just try to live your best life in the situation that you're in. But like by organizing that, wouldn't that remove the essence of how it came from? You know?
Not necessarily.
No.
I ain't gonna lie, people
It's how it's done.
No?
If you,
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who comes from that, and just for the record, I come from that wants to stay there.
Facts.
You know, like that lie, that like the essence means broke and destitute and miserable.
Because a lot of people, when breaking entered the Olympics, a lot of people were up in arms about like it becoming more mainstream.
Yeah, actually, most of those people like aren't poor. They didn't come from that. Like everybody's living on this origin story of like b-boying. Just because you b-boy don't mean that you're from the South Bronx. Like it doesn't mean that you were actually a part of that struggle. Like I'm not from the South Bronx. You know, I'm from a little project in Norfolk, Virginia. And it's hard out there and I don't want to be poor. So I gotta do different things. I gotta make better decisions to get out of that situation. So I got out of that situation and I ain't going back. You know, so like a lot of times people can afford to live in the essence. I don't know. To me, you know what essence means when in that context when we talk about hip hop and urban dance culture, like to me the essence means cockroaches, like
strung out
hungry evenings,
your parent that's strung out on the street.
It's like, yo, hurts. Yeah, I don't want y'all to have all that essence. I got a different kind of essence right now in my Cadillac and my $300 shoes. Working. I'm on that essence.
Look at that, you can say, if you look at a rapper, it's like you can always take a dude like Jay. Jay's a billionaire, and he can come to the street corner and rhyme with the best of them.
Yeah.
It's not where you from, it's where you at. Like ghetto is a mind state, the things that we go through, but it's like we evolve as people, but that doesn't mean that our talent dissolves. You know what I'm saying? Like people to keep it real, keep it in the essence, keep it like, I see so many kids on the internet, like, I don't like this rap because they talk about money. What you want to talk about? You want to talk about being broke? You talk about money. So when you look at these things, it's just it's a facade that people who haven't lived it, that they talk about. And it's like, if you had to live it, you would probably say the same thing. Be like, you know what? You want to talk about that? What's so cool about that? Like living in the South Bronx, having 3 buildings on your block, and the rest is just all empty lots. Empty lots, dead bodies, dead rats. It's like it's a stench of death when you used to live in the Bronx. So when we came up, that's what we used to. So that's what made us want to be better and get out of there and move our kids somewhere else, so they don't have to go through that. So when people talk, like you said, the essence, it's like that's just it's a fabricated word. Like the essence, I believe, is just living a good life, being positive and being happy. And it's like, not saying I can't have a care in the world, but you can do things for people, you can make different things happen, and you can influence people to be better.
To me, the essence, when I heard people talk about that, right? To me, I made the cockroach thing, right? Not really. But what it means to me is the possibility of something better. Like the possibility of something better. Like when I was by myself and dancing as a kid and listening to music, I wasn't in my living room. I wasn't like, in my bedroom. Like I was on a stage somewhere. Like, and it had a story behind it. Like I walked off stage and people were handing me drinks and clean towels. Like, I was dreaming. The essence is being able to dream about something better than today, your condition. Like if you had a condition, and the mistake is that people treat it like if you do hip hop culture, you have to pretend that you got it bad, that you got to be from this story or have this narrative that is good, yeah. And the bottom line is like that's a lie. Like and not only is it a lie, it's dangerous because you deny people agency. Yeah. So like every brown person that you see that says that they're hip hop, you think that they're from the gutter. You think that like they're from, like they need the essence. Their essence might be to just finish school. Like that could be it. It's no different than anyone else. Like hip hop don't mean poor or stupid or bummy. Like
or hood or violent or
don't mean
grind.
And we should want to do better than like let's say the essence of hip hop is corners and cardboard and dancing and sweating. Let's say. Who wants to do that forever? At 65,
Keep it above.
At 12, that's probably cool. But like, dude, you might want by the time you're 65 years old and hope to have a wife and kids, a husband, like kids and the essence still ain't a corner, cardboard, and sweating and dancing. It has to be more to life than that.
Excellence. like selling excellence.
I mean, these were the most creative motherfuckers ever.
That's why hip hop was made, yo. Hip hop was made. People was dancing because they didn't want to think about that shit. That's the whole point of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna lie. That's why a lot of dances now, like I was telling him before, it look like it's Halloween now, yo. Like, you see a lot of these people overseas still dressed like Joel Santana and Rough Riders and all that. And I be looking like, yo, what are you doing? Because if you come to New York now looking like that, we're gonna roast you. You looking at stupid looking like that, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. You looking like some guy with like, what are you doing? The girl's not gonna like you, and then you gotta be respected like that. Like, so it's just a thing of, like, essence comes from here. It don't just come from here, it comes from here first. Yeah, without humans, there's no essence. You know what I mean? So that's scenery. There's a difference between scenery and essence.
All right, everybody, we can keep this conversation going. We got a transition, but let's give a round of applause for everyone.